Hello everybody, my name is Marcus and I'm a fibre artist from Scotland, and this is my channel where I like to share my different projects that I've been working on. And once a month I like to make these videos where I kind of showcase what I've been working on over the last month, what progress has been made, any new projects, and sometimes just, any new materials. I kind of just do this as a kind of general monthly catch up as well. So it's not always like project related, sometimes there's a little bit of life involved as well. But if that sounds like your thing, stay tuned. Um, as usual, I'm filming this after the month has ended, and in this, specific situation, after the year has ended. So today's the 3rd of January, and I'm filming my December video. This happens. I kind of just need to start planning to do it in the next month, because it just always seems to be that the end of the month, I just don't have time to do these videos, but whatever. um, December's always like a busy time for everyone, but I've been super sick. I was really busy in the run up to Christmas with like work and um, different family commitments, um, and then on Christmas I got sick, maybe COVID. I don't think I caught it on Christmas. It was like Christmas evening I started to get sick. So I must have caught it like a few days prior, but whatever. I'm like for the most part over it. It's still kind of like in my chest and being rude and won't leave, but I can now talk for like more than 30 seconds without going into a coughing fit. So I thought this sounds like a great time to try and record a video. So yeah, I've also changed the lighting. You may have noticed. For like 6 months of the year, I'm battling the lighting because the lighting I've got in my house is awful. It's okay, but it's awful. It's just a bit too severe, too overhead. Anything I have that isn't overhead is just not bright enough, or it's too warm and it's a bit gross. Um, and because I get no natural light for like 6 months of the year, because I live in Scotland, basically I've got a really short window of when I can film in this room, when there's enough light coming in from the window. And it's not even just that the days are short, because the weather tends to be so bad. There's days where it feels like the sun doesn't come up at all, and it doesn't get to a point that it's bright enough that I can film in here. So long story short, I bought a ring light. Let me know what you think. I think it looks okay. Um, the colours seem pretty true. I have like went through like my collection of yarns and kind of tried it with the different lighting settings that are on this, and this one seems to work quite well at showing colours true. I'm sure there's going to be some things that are washed out by it, but from what I've tried so far, seems to be okay. Let me know your thoughts. So instead of continuing to waffle on and on and on about things that you probably don't care about, I'm going to get started with showing you my works in progress. So my first, I'm kind of excited to show you the progress that I've made. So this is my, what is this thing called? Northeasterly. This is my crochet Northeasterly blanket. Um, I, one of these days I'm going to write down before I start recording the designer's name. I can't remember. I'll write it on screen like I do every time I mention this. But yeah, I've made really good progress this month, and that's totally Eva, the director of the Scottish Festival of Yarn. It's totally her fault. It's her fault that I've managed to actually make progress on this. I've made steady progress since I started it, but I've made a lot of progress this month. So, so in the past, you have seen these 3 stripes kind of get to their full length, which is quite long. It's maybe about 6 foot. This whole month, I'll start from the beginning. So this month, I started here, and I have worked almost the entire length. And I think I said knit there. This is crochet. So the reason this is Eva's fault is all of the yarn that I've used this month is yarn that Eva gave me in a scrappy advent calendar, which wasn't something we had arranged. This was just like, you know, a random act of kindness that was really, really well received, I have to say. It was such a delight to receive it. And I think the fact it was out of the blue just kind of added, you know, it was just such a nice surprise. And I was having a pretty rough time at the time. Whatever. But yeah, so I was just really happy to receive this. And even happier to work on it. This was kind of my primary focus at the start of the month, well, for the first half. And I stayed up to date, so every day I worked a section. So all that Eva sent me was 4-ply yarn, but this is, well, for all of this, I'm crocheting this at double knit weight. So 90% of this is actually 4-ply that I'm holding double. And there is some actual DK weight yarn in there as well. But so for all the minis that Eva sent me, which were each about 10 grams, I've doubled it. So I'm holding the yarn double with itself, so that I can reach a DK weight. And yeah, like this is just great. I love the way how some of them are really random. Like some of them contrast and some of them blend into each other. I don't think any of it was planned. I don't, maybe Eva did. I do not know. But it seems kind of random, but it's just the way it's working is just brilliant. Like, because these two yarns, obviously this row here is completely unrelated to this. Eva does not know what this is. But I just love the way that these two yarns work against this one. And then this kind of minty, pepperminty green with this. Absolutely love how that works. And then that's so Christmassy. Love it. Again, like this kind of, you know, kind of complementing with the colours in that. Yeah, it's just, yeah, it's all random. And it looks great. And that's just kind of part of the magic of this project. So I got 12 and a half sections done. And then I got a little bit busy in the middle of the month, but I also changed my kind of priority of what I was working on. My time was super limited, so this was all I worked on at the start. Basically every evening, well, I didn't even get time every evening, but the times that I did have, this was the only thing I worked on. This was all I managed to do. So most evenings I would just work my single colour block. Some days I would do 2 if I'd missed the day before and if I had time that evening. But yeah, so I got 12 and a half days in. And then got busy, but also the temperature dropped a lot. And I kind of, yeah, I went for a few days where I hadn't worked on the blanket. And then when I got time again, it'd been really, really cold for like a good few days at that point. And I just started to think, I really want my sweater now. So kind of pivoted, changed focus. So if you remember, this is the Officer Sweater by Maxim Sear. I will write this down and I will have a link to the places. So this is the front panel, I think. That was finished last time I spoke about this. But I have now got the full back finished. It looks a weird shape, but it's just because it's all kind of bunched up at the sides. But yeah, so that's a shoulder shaping and all that has been done. So basically, all that is left, this is going to be so good. All that is left to do is work the sleeves and then sew it all together, and I think I just need to like do a little collar. And I'm making good progress with that as well. So this is one of the sleeves. So you've still got that same intarsia patterning going on. So the pattern is really, I'm enjoying it. It's a bit weird the way it works. I get why it is the way it works, but it just kind of, it's a bit, sometimes I just get a bit confused with what I'm doing. So basically I start, for the sleeve, I started in the round, just knitting, you know, a ribbed tube. And then I get to the colour work, and then I start knitting flat. And the reason for this is the colour work technique being used here is intarsia, which, although technically you can do it in the round, there is ways and means of doing intarsia in the round. I've looked into it previously before for smaller projects where I thought it might work. And then I kind of thought, this is too much hassle, this is too much, like, I don't need to do intarsia that badly that I'll, you know, avoid knitting it flat. Like if I wanted the intarsia, I'll do it flat. But I'm definitely not gonna start looking into things like ways of doing things in the round for this. I want this to be as good as possible, so I'm not gonna mess around with any of the instructions. I'm just doing what I'm told because I don't know how to make garments. So I'm just trusting the process, and the process does make sense. It's just sometimes I get confused because the body's not the exact same way. So you, when you first cast on, you're doing the bottom hem. Is this a hem? Cuff? It's not a cuff. I don't know. This thing, the ribbing at the bottom of the jumper. So that's done in the round, and then you split for the front and the back. So I'm doing the exact same thing with the sleeves. So I started off, I cast on 2 at a time, and I knit both the cuffs for the sleeves 2 at a time. And then when it came to starting the colour work and knitting it flat, that's when things just got a bit too messy doing it 2 at a time. And I'd actually made a mistake and had to rip back. So I have this one here, which basically I've just got the cuff done and a little bit of the colour work. But what I'm going to do, I am going to go back to doing these 2 at a time, but I'm going to wait until I do the first colour change. So I'll change colour and then I'll join this one in when it's at the same point. Just because there's increases being done, I just want to do it 2 at a time so that I know I'm doing it in the exact same place every single time. My maths is going to be the same. Because if I do make mistakes with the increases, which they're not confusing, but if I make mistakes, I want to make them in the same place on each, because if the numbers, unless I do something horrendous, but you know, if I increase on one row when it should be the row after, it doesn't really matter, but I would like to do that on both, you know? Obviously if I completely messed it up and I made some like weird avant-garde shaped sleeve, I would probably just rip out and do it properly. But yeah, so once I get the first colour work change done, I'll then join them both together and start working on them 2 at a time. But that's coming along really nicely. I am a little bit concerned about fit. I might have mentioned this before, I don't know. I did do a gauge swatch for this, kind of. Well, I knit a gauge swatch. But unfortunately, so I knit it, I washed it, and then I sat it on my kitchen table. It was I was like kind of getting everything packed up, ready to go to bed, and I was about to put the dog to bed in our crate. Um, I sat the gauge swatch on the kitchen table, and then I turned around and started putting things away. And then I turned around, and the gauge swatch was no longer on the table. Um, so yeah, I turn around and the dog is chewing it. So it never got pinned out. So I never really did do a gauge swatch. I made it, but I didn't get to use it. Um, so I decided that was the dog telling me, your gauge is fine, just knit it. Because this was like the night before I was going on holiday. I was not going to restart it. I was adamant I was starting this on holiday, so it was too late at that point. I was like, I'm just doing it. It's all going to be fine. You know, fast forward 6 months, I don't know if it's going to be fine. And it's not even the gauge swatch that's making me nervous, it's the amount of weight that I've gained in the last 6 months. That's making me nervous. Yeah, I'm just worried it's going to be a bit snug. I will be able to get it on. Because, you know, like I've kind of like held it up against me and like kind of pulled the sides out and like without trying it on, I've tried it on, and like I will be able to get it on. I just think it could be a little bit more snug than I feel comfortable wearing. But we'll just see. I mean, obviously, like when I'm saying I've tried it on, it's not been blocked at all yet, so it is gonna grow somewhat. It's just how much is kind of the query, cause for concern, if you will. But yeah, I'm hoping to not keep this weight on. This isn't like I've not chosen to gain this weight. I've gained this weight as a symptom of depression. I don't want to carry it around with me. So, you know, even if it doesn't fit me just now, maybe it will in the future when I'm in a better place mentally. But I don't know. Either way, I'm making good progress with it. I think it will fit. It might just be a little bit snug. And if it's a little bit snug, it's a little bit snug. As long as I don't look like, I don't know, like a garroted sausage, I'll probably still wear it. But I would get more wear out of it if it fit me properly. I don't know. I'm kind of just waffling now. But yeah, I'm really pleased with this. I can't wait for it to be finished. And the fact that I know that I'm on the sleeves and I've looked ahead in the pattern to see what's next. And I think I literally just knit the sleeves, sew it up, and then just join everything together and just do a little ribbed collar. Like, not even like much of a collar. I don't think there's any shaping that needs done once I join together. I think it's literally sew, do a collar and go. So I'm getting really, really, really close. I just need a little bit more time to work on it. Realistically, if I had time, which I don't, so it's kind of irrelevant, but if I had time, I could get this finished in a couple of days probably. But well, I probably couldn't, but someone could. Like, I mean, you know, there's people that knit sweaters in a matter of days. I'm sure there is somebody that could knit these sleeves in under a week quite comfortably without pushing themselves. I just know that I'm not that person. So yeah, so that's this. Super in love with it, getting really, really close to the finish line, but just a little bit more. But do you know, I'm gonna put it out there, maybe for my January updates video, which let's hope that I get to film that in January. But let's hope that I have a finished sweater, because realistically, if I'm saying this today on the 3rd of January, that there's not a whole lot left to do, there's no reason that I can't have that finished for the end of January. I've set the intention, I'm asking the universe to make it happen. Yeah, let's see how I get with that. So that's really the only things that I've worked on this month. I'm just looking around the room. I think that's everything. Yeah. I've got a couple other things to show you though, but they're not projects yet. Some acquisitions, if you will. And the first thing I've got is this little crochet kit for the Wee Sheepies cushion pattern, which I believe the pattern was designed by Midge Porter Designs, but the yarn is definitely from Midge Porter Designs. Does it have her label, her logo? I think you can see it there, Midge Porter Designs. So I actually got to meet them at the Scottish Yarn Festival. It wasn't this year, it was the year before. Well, no, it wasn't last year, it was the year before. January is a very confusing time of year. So it would have been 2023. I got to meet them. Yeah, I was just having a look on their Etsy page. I think it must have been at the start of December, maybe at the end of November. And I just fell in love with this. I just think it's really cute, and you know, you've got like the little sheep in the middle, but like all the different colours, it kind of gives me like Andy Warhol, like pop art, but sheep. And I just think that's really cute. Yeah, I couldn't resist. So this gives you everything that you need to crochet the cushion cover. Realistically, all that you need is like a cushion form, cushion stuffing. I don't know what that's called. But I've got a selection of cushions that are a bit worse for wear, that need new covers. Top tip, if you like making cushion covers, get a dog, and as a puppy they will destroy all of your cushion covers. So I'm just trying to show you the contents without dumping everything out. Let's see how we do. So yeah, so you've got your main colour here. Let's actually just take some of the stuff out. So there's little stitch markers. Sorry for the glare. So we've got a little thistle and a Scottish love heart, which I love that. That is their business card. I will tag all of their socials down below. There's even a crochet hook included, which is nice. I like that. It's 4mm. I definitely have 4mm in my collection anyway, but it's always good to have spares, especially when you're me, because I lose everything constantly. Oh, and there's a lot. I didn't notice this actually when I opened this before. I've had this for ages, but I've been kind of waiting to show it off. Oh, okay. This is little buttons for the cushion cover. But they're little wooden buttons that say handmade with love. Can we see? Yeah, handmade with love, which is cute. I like that. So that's all the little bits and pieces. So you've got your main yarn, you've got the black for the details, and then you've got all your different colours. So I'll try and remove these again without toppling everything down. There we go. So it's a really nice blend of like bright colours, but then kind of softer colours as well. And there's warm colours and there's cold colours. And I'm really excited for it. I think it'll make a really, really nice cushion. I think this is definitely going to be my first cast on of the year. Because I've been really excited about this ever since I got it, which I've literally had it for nearly a month. The only reason I haven't cast it on is because I wanted to show it off. So yeah, really excited about this. I'll just pop everything away. Hello. And So my last thing to show you is a little advent calendar, another one. I've actually had 3 advent calendars this year. I had the one that Eva made me as a surprise, which was lovely. And I bought a tea advent calendar from Bird and Blend. I love their teas. And I was really enjoying the tea advent calendar, but I got halfway through the month roundabout. And I remember saying to my partner, I was like, I've really enjoyed this. I've tried a lot of teas that I wouldn't have tried if I didn't have this calendar. There was a lot of things that I was kind of unsure of. I was like, I don't think I'm going to enjoy that, but I'll give it a go. And there wasn't anything that I disliked. But like halfway through, I was kind of like, this has been really nice, but I just think it's a bit weird that I've ordered a tea advent and we're like halfway through and there's not been any that contain tea, like the actual tea plant. It had all been like rooibos, red bush, or like kind of fruity herbal infusions or whatever, but there was none with actual tea in them. I just thought, I don't understand why this is a tea advent if there's no tea in it. So like I kind of, next few days, every morning I'm opening it, or evening, whatever, every day I'm opening the box, I'm like, oh, it's not tea. Again, like we're having rooibos or a kind of herbal infusion. And then I looked at the advent calendar again one day and I realised it said caffeine free at the top. I ordered the wrong one. But I was actually kind of glad that I did, because as I said, like I got to try a lot of things that I probably would have went, it's not my thing, I'm not into it. And I have like a whole list of teas that I've tried in that calendar that I want to buy like a box of, like, an actual amount of tea to drink again. And this is all teas that, again, I wouldn't have tried had I ordered the one that I had intended to order. So yeah, happy little accidents. So that's my second advent calendar. And my third one is another, it's a DIY advent that I've done with my good friend Gemma. If you've watched my videos before, you probably know Gemma or have at least heard me mention her. She's a good friend of mine, and for 2 years prior, I think we started in 2019 and 2020, we swapped scrap advent calendars like what Eva's made for me this year. And I've made a crochet blanket that I finished last year. Yes, it did take me 5 years. Let me quickly grab that. This is the scrappy blanket that I made with the advent calendars that I got from Gemma in previous years. Absolutely love this to death. But me and Gemma were speaking and we decided that we would do another one this year. So every year previously that we've done it, neither of us actually had our advent calendars for the 1st of December. It was always like a few days behind. And like for both of us, December is always kind of, it's hectic for everyone. And because like we know each other very well, like it's always kind of been like no pressure. Like let's not stress ourselves out trying to make sure that we've got it for the 1st of December. Like, it's fine. But this year we were both like pretty late, and eventually I just turned around and said to Jem, I said, do you want to make this a January advent? And Gemma was like, yes, let's let's do that, please. And I don't really know what we're counting up to because it's January, but I don't care. It's actually turned out to be a really lovely way to start the year, is having a little surprise every day. So I'll show you what I have gotten so far. So Gemma in previous years we swapped 4-ply, and that's what I've sent Gemma this year, but Gemma did say to me beforehand that she's gone off-piste, but she didn't go into any specifics as to what off-piste means, and I'm so fucking excited. Apologies for swearing, but I am very excited to see what that means. And the first 3 days have not disappointed. So we started off with this little mini skein, which is hand spun. So I don't know, I haven't really kind of, like, obviously it's a mix of weights, like it's thick and thin, it's a textured yarn, so but I don't know what the like average wraps per inch would be. I'm not too concerned about figuring that out with hand spun. With hand spun, I like to just play around and with different needles or hooks or whatever, and just what works works. So that was day 1. Then day 2, I had another little skein of hand spun, which this one definitely has some silk in it, definitely. I think this one may have some silk, but this one definitely has silk. You can really, really feel that. And then day 3 was another hand spun, but it's kind of a different texture and it's a lot more variegated in colour. So far, like, I didn't expect either of these, but so far the off-piste is really, really working for me. These are just 3 very special little treasures. I have no idea what I'm going to do with them, because I do not need another like 4-ply scrap blanket. I have, I have this completed one. I have my crochet Northeasterly that I'm working on just now. I actually have a mitered square knitted 4-ply scrap blanket somewhere. I've kind of given up on that. But yeah, so for the life of me, I do not need another 4-ply scrappy blanket. So I don't know what these are going to grow up to be, but I think I'm not going to make any plans yet. I think I'm going to keep opening up the advent calendar and just see what direction we go in, and then maybe make plans from there. Either way, I'm sure it's going to be something really exciting. God, those colours really are lovely. So in my last update video, so that would be my November updates video, but I probably filmed it in December or something, I don't know. I kind of accidentally mentioned that I was thinking about getting a Kindle, but I kind of didn't expand on that thought. So what happened, basically I made an editing mistake. I'd actually intended to cut that out and then splice in a segment going into more detail about what I was thinking about with the Kindle, but I forgot to add it in and I forgot to cut the bit out, so it didn't happen. But I ended up, I bought a Kindle. I just got the most basic Kindle. And my parents gave me money towards it, so I kept it until Christmas. So my kind of thinking behind it was I love reading, but I kind of struggle doing one thing at a time. Like, I can't watch TV without having a project, without having something in my hands, and I sometimes feel like that with reading, even though I'm physically holding an object. Like, I just, not all the time, sometimes holding a book is enough to keep my attention, but sometimes I find it hard to kind of get stuck into a book, and it's just because I'm restless. So I thought, having a Kindle, I might potentially be able to kind of rest it up, and have a knitting or crochet project or spinning or whatever. I haven't actually tried that out yet, but the Kindle itself I'm obsessed with. Um, I have read 3 books since Christmas, which today's the 3rd of January, so that's like 9 days, something like that. I don't know. Um, I'll tell you what I've read. Um, I read I Am a Therapist and My Patient is the Next School Shooter or something like that. Which is a book that I've like, it keeps kind of popping up in the past few years. Like I keep kind of seeing it in places. I'm always like, oh, it sounds really, really interesting. Um, and I'm doing like a free trial of the Kindle Unlimited service. I don't know if I'm gonna continue with it. I will see. It's not what I thought it was gonna be. I don't know. I just thought there would be like a bigger selection of stuff that I would like to read, but I think what I like to read is maybe a bit too niche for Kindle Unlimited. I don't know. I have found books. I found 3 books in 9 days. But yeah, so it didn't cost me anything to read the I'm a Therapist book. So I thought I'll give it a go. And it's quite a short book. I think it was only 120 pages. So I read that in one evening. And I got to the end of it and I was kind of like, okay, I thought this was going to be really interesting. And I kind of enjoyed it, but it was pretty like unserious. I don't know, the title is quite heavy, but then actually reading it is I wouldn't say it's light-hearted. The subject matter isn't light-hearted, but the writing is like super unserious, and I don't know. I got to the end of it and I was like, it wasn't great, but I do want to read the sequel. And because they're all quite short and like digestible, it's not a huge commitment. It's not as if I've read something that's taken me weeks to finish and I didn't enjoy it. I spent like 2-3 hours or something, and I kind of enjoyed it. And it couldn't have been that bad if it had been that bad, then I wouldn't have wanted to read the sequel. But I did read the sequel. And now I'm reading the sequel of the sequel. And again, like, it's kind of more of the same. I definitely think I enjoyed the second book more than the first book. But it was kind of just more of the same thing, that it's like heavy subject matter, but just really unserious. And again, super short, read it in an evening. And I'm kind of enjoying that. Like, I didn't think I would enjoy that, but I am. I've also read another book by an author that I hadn't come across before, who's actually based in Scotland. David Sodergren, I believe their name is. I'll put the things in the places. But I read their book called Night Shoot, which was surprisingly good. Again, it wasn't like I think it was only 250-ish pages, so it wasn't like a huge tome, but it was really enjoyable, and like they seem to be quite, like they're like an indie book author, I believe. I was surprised at just how good the story was. It was quite well written. It was kind of like your like classic slasher. Well, no, it wasn't even a slasher. I don't know. It's heavily inspired by like classic horror movies, and I really enjoy that kind of. Well, I really enjoy classic horror movies, but I kind of just enjoy that style. So yeah, that really, really worked out well for me. And again, I've like kind of, I don't know what you call it with Kindle, but I've like added a bunch of their books that are on Kindle Unlimited to read as well. And I follow them on Instagram now, because that's the real seal of approval. Yeah, I'm going to leave it here because I've really, really gone off topic here, but I just kind of wanted to expand upon something that I said like 3 words about and then just like disappeared. So yeah, thanks a lot for joining in. I think I might do a video looking at what I'm going to be making in the future, kind of maybe planning out some projects for the year ahead. But I don't know, look out for that. Hopefully that will come out at some point. But thanks for watching this video. I really do hope that you've enjoyed it. And I shall see you next time. Bye bye.